Lena stood outside the tall glass building with her hands clenched tight and her heart beating fast. The building was so high that it made her feel small just by looking at it. People in fine clothes walked in and out like this place belonged to them. Lena wore simple clothes that had seen many years of use. She did not come here for comfort or pride. She came here for answers. For 12 years, hunger had been her closest friend. She learned early how to sleep with an empty stomach. She learned how to drink water to silence pain inside her body. She learned how to smile in front of others so no one would ask questions. Her life was shaped by lack and silence. When Lena was 8, her world became very small. Her home was a single weak room with cracked walls and a leaking roof. Rain would fall inside during storms and soak the floor. Cold wind entered freely during winter nights. Her mother would wrap her in old blankets and hold her close. Her mother's arms were the only safe place Lena knew. Her mother worked every job she could find. She cleaned floors, washed clothes, and carried heavy loads for little pay. Some days she came home smiling with bread in her hands. Other days she came home with nothing but tired eyes. On those days, Lena pretended she was not hungry. Lena never complained. She watched her mother grow thinner each year. She saw the pain hidden behind her mother's soft voice. At night, Lena often heard her mother crying quietly. Those sounds stayed in Lena's heart forever. Lena used to ask about her father. Her mother never spoke badly about him. She only said he was a man with big dreams and heavy choices. She said he once promised to take care of them. Then one day, he disappeared from their lives. As Lena grew older, she learned his name. His name was Mark. She learned that he was rich. She learned that he owned companies and helped many people. She saw his face on screens talking about kindness and hard work. Every time Lena saw him, her chest felt tight. She wondered how a man could save strangers but ignore his own child. She wondered how her mother could be forgotten so easily. Those questions grew with her year after year. School was not easy for Lena. She studied hard even when she was tired. She read books borrowed from others. She dreamed of a life where her mother did not suffer. Education became her only escape. Sometimes she skipped meals to save food for her mother. Sometimes she lied and said she already ate at school. Her mother believed her because she wanted to. Love often chooses hope over truth. Years passed, and Lena became strong. Not strong in body, but strong in spirit. Pain had taught her patience. Hunger had taught her discipline. Silence had taught her how to observe the world. When Lena turned 20, her mother fell sick. Years of hard work and poor food had damaged her health. Medical help was expensive and far away. Lena felt fear she had never known before. One night, her mother held her hand and spoke softly. She told Lena that truth matters even when it hurts. She told Lena not to live with unanswered questions. That night changed Lena's life forever. A few weeks later, her mother passed away peacefully. Lena felt like the world had gone quiet. The only person who had loved her without limits was gone. Grief became a heavy shadow that followed her everywhere. After the loss, Lena made a decision. She would face the man who abandoned them. She would ask the question no one else dared to ask. She would not shout or beg. She only wanted the truth. That decision brought her to the glass building. She walked inside with steady steps. Her name had somehow reached Mark's office. People whispered when they saw her. Soon, she stood inside a large office filled with light and silence. Mark sat behind a desk that looked larger than life. He looked confident and calm like nothing could touch him. But when his eyes met Lena's, something changed. Lena did not sit down. She stood straight and looked at him without fear. Her voice was steady even though her heart was shaking. She asked the question that lived inside her soul. Why did you let my mom and me starve for 12 years? The air in the room became heavy. Mark's face lost its color. His hands trembled slightly before he hid them. He stood up slowly, as if his body was carrying a great weight. For the first time, Mark looked like a man with regrets. He turned toward the window and stayed silent for a long moment. The city below continued moving without care. Finally, he spoke in a low voice. "You deserve the truth." Lena felt her chest tighten as those words filled the room. She knew whatever came next would change everything she believed. Mark stood near the window with his back toward Lena, and his shoulders looked heavier than before. The city lights outside did not bring him pride in that moment. They only reminded him of time that could never return. Lena waited without speaking because she had waited her whole life already. Silence did not scare her anymore. She had lived with it for years. Mark finally turned around and looked at her again. His eyes were no longer sharp or proud. They were tired and full of memories. He asked Lena if she knew why her mother never came looking for him. Lena shook her head slowly and kept her eyes fixed on him. Mark took a deep breath as if the truth was hard to release. He said that 12 years ago he was not a rich man. He was only a young man trying to survive. He had dreams but no power. When Lena's mother told him she was expecting a child, his world collapsed. Not because he did not care, but because he was already trapped. He had borrowed money from dangerous people to start a business. Those people did not forgive failure. They did not forgive weakness. They controlled his every move. Mark said that when they found out about Lena's mother, everything became worse. They told him that a family would slow him down. They told him that love would cost him his life. One night, Mark was beaten and warned never to return home. They told him to disappear or suffer consequences. He believed them because he had already seen what they could do. Mark said he tried to reach Lena's mother after that night. He sent messages through people he trusted. None of them reached her. He believed she had moved on and chosen a safer life. He believed she hated him. That belief slowly became his excuse. Years later, his business finally succeeded. Money came faster than he expected. Freedom followed soon after. But guilt never left him. Every success reminded him of the family he lost. Every smile in public hid shame in private. Mark admitted he searched for Lena's mother many times. But he searched quietly and without courage. Fear still lived inside him. He said that when he finally found old records, they led to nothing. Addresses had changed. Names were missing. Mark chose silence because silence felt safer. He told himself lies to sleep at night. He told himself they were better without him. Lena listened without interrupting. Her face stayed calm but her heart felt like it was tearing. Pain and anger mixed inside her chest. She asked why he never checked harder. She asked why money made him brave too late. Her voice did not shake, but her eyes did. Mark lowered his head and said fear makes cowards of good people. He said regret is louder than hunger but comes much later. Those words did not heal Lena. She told him about the nights her mother skipped meals. She told him about cold winters and broken shoes. She told him about hospital visits they could not afford. Mark listened like a man being judged by his own past. Each word hit him harder than any punishment. Tears slowly filled his eyes. He said he never knew how bad it was. He said he would have helped if he knew. Those words felt empty to Lena. Lena reminded him that knowing is a choice. Looking away is also a choice. She said both have consequences. Mark nodded because he knew she was right. He said he could never undo the past. He said he could only face it now. He asked Lena what she wanted from him. Money was easy for him now. But he knew money could not bring back her mother. Lena looked at him and said she did not come for money. She came for truth and responsibility. She came so the silence would end. Mark walked back to his desk and opened a drawer. He took out an old photo. It showed him and Lena's mother smiling together. He said he kept it to remind himself of his failure. He said her mother deserved better than fear. Those words finally broke Lena's calm face. Tears rolled down her cheeks for the first time. Not from anger but from grief. The past stood between them like a wall. Mark promised he would take responsibility now. Not just with money but with presence. He said he would support Lena's future without control. Lena did not answer right away. Trust does not grow in one moment. It grows slowly like healing wounds. She told him she needed time. She told him some pain cannot be fixed quickly. Mark accepted her words without argument. As Lena walked toward the door, Mark spoke again. He said her mother was brave and strong. He said she raised a fearless daughter. Lena stopped for a second but did not turn around. She said strength was learned through suffering. She said not everyone survives it. When she left the building, the city felt different. Not kinder, but clearer. The truth was heavy, but it was real. Lena knew her journey was not over. The hardest part was still ahead. Lena walked out of the building and felt the cold air touch her face. The city noise surrounded her, but she felt alone inside. Her mind replayed every word Mark had spoken. She walked for a long time without direction. Her feet moved, but her thoughts stayed behind in that office. Truth had a weight she was not ready for. That night, Lena sat alone in her small room. The room still carried memories of her mother. Every corner held silent stories. She remembered her mother waking up early every morning. She remembered her mother smiling even when tired. She remembered her mother believing in goodness. Lena wondered if her mother knew the full truth. She wondered if silence was a choice made to protect her. Those thoughts made her chest feel heavy. Days passed and Lena returned to her daily routine. She worked small jobs and saved what she could. Life did not stop for emotions. Mark tried to reach her many times. He sent messages asking if she was safe. He did not push or demand answers. Lena ignored the messages at first. Trust felt like a bridge burned long ago. But curiosity slowly returned. One evening, Lena opened one message. Mark asked if she would meet him again. He said there was something important she should know. Lena struggled with the decision. Part of her wanted distance. Another part wanted closure. She agreed to meet him at a quiet place. Not in his office but in a small park. She wanted ground that felt human. Mark arrived early and sat on a bench. He wore simple clothes without signs of wealth. He looked smaller than before. When Lena arrived, he stood respectfully. There was no pride in his posture. Only patience. They sat in silence for a while. Birds moved freely around them. Life continued without judgment. Mark spoke first and said he found something. He found letters Lena's mother had written years ago. They were never sent. He explained that an old friend kept them. Fear had kept the truth hidden. Time had buried it. Mark handed Lena the letters. Her hands shook as she held them. The paper felt fragile like the past. Lena opened the first letter slowly. Her mother's words felt alive again. Tears blurred her vision. The letters spoke of love and pain. They spoke of hope and fear. They spoke of choosing survival over pride. Her mother wrote that she did not want Mark to return. She feared his danger would follow him. She chose hardship to protect her child. Lena read every word carefully. Her heart broke and healed at the same time. Her mother had carried the burden alone. Mark watched Lena silently. He did not interrupt her moment. Respect replaced regret. Lena finally spoke and asked why he kept living in silence. Mark said shame chained him. He said fear never fully left. Lena realized pain had shaped them both, but in different ways. Pain does not choose fairness. She told Mark that forgiveness is not a gift. It is a process. It needs truth and time. Mark nodded and said he would wait. He said waiting was the least he could do. He said he wanted to honor her mother. Lena asked how he planned to do that. Mark said he wanted to build something meaningful. Not a building but a future. He said he wanted to support others quietly. Not for praise but for purpose. He wanted to do better. Lena felt something shift inside her. Not trust but understanding. Understanding opened a small door. Weeks passed and Lena began studying again. Mark supported her education without control. He kept his promise of distance. Lena slowly regained strength. Knowledge gave her confidence. Purpose gave her peace. She began volunteering to help others like her mother. She saw pain reflected in many faces. She saw hope grow through kindness. Mark watched from afar and learned. He learned humility. He learned patience. One day, Lena invited him to a small event. It honored hard-working women. Her mother's story was shared there. Mark listened quietly among strangers. No one knew who he was. That anonymity taught him respect. After the event, Lena spoke to him. She thanked him for giving space. That meant more than money. Mark said he was proud of her. Not as a rich man but as a father. Those words carried weight. Lena did not reject them. She did not accept them fully either. But she did not walk away. The past still lived between them. But it no longer controlled the future. Healing had begun. Lena knew one more step remained. The final choice was hers. Lena woke up one morning feeling lighter than she had in years. The weight on her chest was still there, but it no longer crushed her spirit. She knew healing was not sudden, but it was real. She stood by the window and looked at the rising sun. Her mother used to say that mornings carry quiet strength. Those words felt true now. Lena continued her studies with focus and patience. Each lesson felt like a step forward. She was building something her mother never had the chance to finish. Mark kept his distance but stayed present. He supported her goals without trying to control them. That respect slowly rebuilt broken ground. One afternoon, Lena visited her mother's resting place. She brought fresh flowers and sat quietly. The silence there felt gentle. She spoke softly about the truth she had learned. She spoke about strength and sacrifice. She promised to live fully. As she stood to leave, she felt peace. Not because pain was gone, but because it no longer ruled her heart. Months passed and Lena completed her education. Her confidence grew with each success. She no longer felt defined by hunger or loss. She began working with a small group helping struggling families. She used her story to give others courage. Her voice carried honesty. Mark watched her growth with pride and humility. He did not seek recognition. He sought redemption through action. One evening, Lena invited him to a quiet dinner. It was the first time she chose closeness. The choice mattered more than words. They spoke openly about the past. There was no blame in their voices. Only understanding. Mark apologized again, not with excuses but with clarity. Lena listened without anger. Acceptance slowly replaced resentment. She told him forgiveness did not erase history. It allowed space for peace. Mark respected that truth. They agreed their bond would grow naturally. No pressure or expectations. Only honesty. Time continued its steady path. Lena moved into a better home. Her life reflected stability. Mark supported community projects quietly. He honored Lena's mother through service. That mattered most to Lena. One day, Lena spoke at a small gathering. She shared her journey with courage. Many listened with tears. She said suffering teaches strength, but kindness teaches hope. Those words stayed with many. Her mother's legacy lived on. After the event, Mark stood among the crowd. He felt pride without ownership. That feeling was new. Later, Lena walked beside him under the evening sky. She thanked him for learning. Growth mattered more than wealth. Mark thanked Lena for allowing truth to breathe. He said she changed his life. She nodded quietly. Lena knew her mother's love shaped everything. Sacrifice had protected her future. That truth brought closure. She chose to forgive fully. Not for Mark, but for herself. Forgiveness freed her heart. It allowed joy to return. Life felt open again. Mark understood that forgiveness was a gift earned through patience. He vowed to honor it daily. That promise was sincere. Years later, Lena stood confident and strong. Her past no longer defined her. Her choices did. She carried her story with grace. She carried her mother's strength forward. Hope guided her path. The question she once asked no longer burned. The truth had answered it fully. Healing had completed its circle. Lena looked ahead with calm eyes. Her future was hers to shape. And she walked forward without fear.